Hello everyone, hi, how are you? Short, simple video today about prayer, and I wanted to just have some notes here, just to talk about prayer and I guess how to pray or what to remember when we pray. A lot of my friends have emailed me and texted me and said, Esther, I don't know what to do. I try, but it's just, I feel disconnected. And I think it's because of how we pray, or maybe what we thought about prayer. Growing up in the church, we think that prayer is when, we have all these words together and everything, kind of follow a pattern and just format, and it's just, very well eloquently said. And I think it's important for us to know that prayer is really what conversation we have with God, is really what we are truly feeling and how we just want to talk to our Father. And I think we need to get to that mindset where it's just having conversation with our friends, having conversation with everyone, but just remember that person is the one who creates you, so he knows everything already. So you have no reason to keep anything from him, when you could keep things from your friends and your family. But that person, you just need to be totally honest with him, and that's what he wants from you. He just wants you to have that relationship with him where you could come to him and talk to him and not feel guilty. And that's what prayer is. And I think there are 3 vital things we should keep in mind when we are praying. We always remember that God is attentive. God wants to hear your stories. He wants to know what's going on. God is the greatest listener. So you need to understand that God is attentive. And second, God is faithful. So when you pray, you need to remember that you're not just praying, you're not just talking to someone who's not faithful. That person is so faithful, and he promised us if we seek him first, he will add everything to us. And that promise is not empty, because God is not a God who lies. And I think we need to understand these things when we pray. And third, we need to remember that God is forgiving. So when you sin and you feel like, oh God, this is just horrible, there's no way that my life, that God could forgive the sins that I've committed. God could, But always remember that God is forgiven. God is not just a person that you're talking to who will say, you know what, I forgive you, but the next day they're talking to someone else about, you. Or just remember that God forgives and he forgets. So 3 things. God is attentive, God is faithful, and God is forgiving. Okay? How should we pray? And first, we need to pray earnestly. I mean, we need to be sincere. We need to be like, listen, this is you talking to God, and just like, listen, Lord, I don't know what to do. I don't even know how to pray. I don't even know how to talk to you. I feel guilty. I don't know what to do. You need to be honest with yourself, and you need to be sincere in your prayers. And I tell you, friend, it is not easy, but once you start having that relationship with that person, you start feeling, okay, I could tell you, I could trust you. So remember, you need to pray earnestly. Second, you need to pray honestly. You need to be honest with yourself. A lot of time we sin and we do things and we just want to keep them under the bed and just not bring light into it. Listen, God knows. He knows everything already. So you can't hide from him. So you need to understand that when you pray, you need to pray honestly. You need to be honest with yourself. Because until you realize that, okay, I need to be honest with myself, then you will start changing your pattern in prayer. So pray earnestly, pray honestly. And third, you need to pray specifically. I can't stress this enough. Sometimes we come to God and we're just like blah, 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 just talk about everything else, but we're not specific. Listen, if you are having trouble with something, let's say it is pornography, let's say it is sex, let's say it is, I don't know, lying, cheating, whatever, you need to come boldly to God and say, God, listen, I'm struggling with this. I can't. You need to have a specific prayer. Say, God, I need you to help me. I need an intervention. I need you to help me go through this. So you need to be very specific in your prayers, because sometimes, we go around the bushes and all around and around. Really? Seriously? You need to be specific about your requests. You need to be like, God, listen, this is it. This is a problem. I need help. I need you to help me. And just talk to him about that. Just like let him know, like, listen, I feel I can't do it anymore. I need you. So very specific. And fourth, last but not least, I think, is that we need to pray intelligently. You need to be intelligent when you're praying. That God is not just a man. He is not just anybody. He is God. He knows. So you got to use God's promise. So God promised us that if we ask, he will give us. You need to use his words and tell him, God, you said it in your words that if I confess my sin, you are faithful and just. Father, you tell me that if we ask anything in a prayer, you will give it to us according to your will. Father, you said that your words will not return to you void. You need to know God's promises to you and really be intelligent about it. So for you to know these things, you need to read the Bible. So that's another video we'll talk about. But for you to understand God, you need to understand his promise to you. And you need to understand the things that he said in his word. So you need to pray and say, God, listen, you said it. You said that if we do this, if we seek you first, everything else will be added unto you. And Father, I just want to seek you. So I think it's time that we change our way of praying and realize that it's not about the words we say, it's not about the things that we do, but it's really building that relationship. God is like that boyfriend that you're trying to talk to, or that boy or girl, whatever. You make time to talk to that person. You spend hours to get to know that person. I know I did. I spent hours and talking and trying to get to know, play the question game. You do what you have to do. Understand this. God just wants to have a relationship with you. And he wants you to talk to him. He wants to renew that covenant with you. And I think it's important that we know when we pray, remember these things. God is faithful. God is attentive. God is forgiving. And when you pray earnestly, pray honestly, pray intelligently, and pray specifically. Trust me, these things will help. And if you have time, please read Nehemiah's prayer, chapter 1. I think verses 5 through 11. You'll see how he prays. He prays earnestly. He prays specifically. He prays intelligently. Most importantly, he prays God, because he understands that God is God above all things. So he prays God. And I think it's important that we need to understand these things when we pray. So I challenge you, my friend, to change your way of praying. Change your way of thinking about prayer. Think that when you think that prayer is just, oh my God, this is for old people, oh Lord, there's a lot of words. Just think of it as you're just talking to a friend. God just wants to be your friend. And I just hope and pray that you will start talking to your Father and just start finding ways to talk to him, in the morning, in the evening, during the day. Anyway, I don't care what you do. Just start talking. He just wants to have a conversation with you. He just wants to have a relationship with you. He just wants to be in your life. And I think it's time for us to give him that. After all, he created us, So, that's all for today. Just remember, whatever the circumstances, the problem is, just smile through it. God and Jesus, he loves you. And so do I. Thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.